We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development bi-weekly call live from Las Vegas. Woo! That is not sound effects. That is a real live studio audience. So thank you all for attending online. We love you. And thank you for those who are in person here. We love you as well. What is our agenda for today? We are going to start out with some latest updates for the community. We're going to talk about Copilot Prompt of the Week, PNP.NET libraries, PNP PowerShell, script samples, Copilot Camp, Power Platform samples, and then, of course, Together Mode, a dual Together Mode here in live in person and online. So get those fantastic faces ready because we are going to take all those photos. And then we've got our three amazing presenters of the day. Tobias is here. He's going to be talking about building Power Apps in a minimalistic design. Paul Bullock is here. He's going to talk about get a communication buddy using Microsoft 365 Copilot, Declarative agent with API plugins. So everybody needs a buddy. And then Chris Ken is here to talk about and wow us, wowee, with list formatting tips and tricks. So we're excited for all that. Now, first, you should know there are tons of resources available for each and every one of you in the community. They are awesome, and they begin with our YouTube account. So please definitely like and subscribe to that account. We break all the rules in all the right ways by posting every single day content that is available for each and every one of you from folks within the community and Microsoft. So it's a wonderful way to keep up to date. We've got our LinkedIn group for discussions, our open source tooling and projects. And of course, we've got our samples that are a plethora because it means a lot. So team samples, script samples, SPFX extensions, Power Platform, list formatting. The list goes on and on and on. But you just need to remember one URL, community.ms, or maybe two, aka.ms/community/home. Will give you access to all those wonderful things. And because you're here, we hope you love community calls. So all of you, just if you could stay for the rest of the year in person, we'll host all of them from here. No, just kidding. You only need to attend all of them online, and you can get access to things like our Tuesday call, which is the Microsoft Weekly Presenters call. This is special because it is from Microsoft presenters. That means those product managers and those program managers who are building all the cool stuff that we use each and every day. They're going to show stuff off to us. And of course, in July and August, it usually goes on break, but not this year. We're doing a community takeover. So we're going to see all those amazing submissions for the hackathons for powerful devs and the SharePoint hackathon. So it's going to be really cool to see all those in depth and talk and hear from those folks that submitted and did all the amazing creations there. We've got our monthly Power Platform community call. This happens every third Wednesday of the month. And then we've got, of course, our bi-weekly sibling calls, which you are on right now. That first one, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community Development Focus, and then Viva Connections. Those flip-flop every Thursday, and it is every single Thursday. We are consistently here for you. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday. We are a global community, and we are going to be here presenting some amazing stuff every single Thursday. Coming up on this 13th of May, next Tuesday, Bob German will be there virtually via Paolo Pialorsi. It's going to be Paolo German, I guess, right? Going to be sharing with us add authentication to your declarative agent and API plugin. And then Gomo is going to be showing a multi-modal AI prompts in Power Platform and how to use them in Power Automate flows. So that's super, super cool. And if you're watching and say, well, I want to present on the call from Vegas, well, no problem. You can do that. But most of the time, it'll be online. And we welcome each and every single person to do that. Don't overthink this, everybody. If you have something you're passionate about at all, whether it's a tip, trick, a solution, a demo, a sample, you are welcome to share it on the community call. All you got to do is go to aka.ms/community/request/demo. I know it rolls right off the tongue, and you're going to memorize it forever. And let us know, and we will get you set up on the schedule. And if you need a buddy or you need someone to assist you, we're willing to do that too. We're a community that supports one another. So just let us know there in the notes. And then as you see all these samples today and you're like, I want to use them and contribute to them, be on the lookout for that Sharing is Caring that's coming up on May 19th. We're just going to update that URL, and you'll be able to start registering absolutely free. This program is here to provide you hands-on guidance. So that means it allows you to learn how to use GitHub, like that hub of Gits, that GitHub hubs, what is a pull request or a fork or blaming or raw or source or all that stuff. We'll explain it. You'll submit an actual contribution, and it'll be awesome. And it is a safe space. We don't record it, so you can ask any and all questions that you would like without fear of it going on a record, because we always worry that we're asking the wrong question, but there is no wrong question. So we're going to learn together. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you for all the amazing work that you're doing. And that's, of course, where our recognition program comes in. It is alive and well and powered by Credly. And it includes all these cool badges like Prompt Pro, Snippet Sorcerer. Of course, we've got our event badges that are going out to everyone. Rainbow Rescuer, we've got our React controls and modern search. And, of course, we are in the middle of our Zoom. I didn't have that sound effect loaded yet, so that's my lightsaber for the Star Wars theme for the next couple of months. And these are all absolutely free. We cover the cost in the community. And so we would like to recognize you, and it's our way of giving back to you in the community to make sure that you are recognized. And these are real and accredited, everybody, so they can be associated to your LinkedIn profile, put onto your blog, your resume. They show that you are making a difference that you can show to your manager or clients. So we do need you to opt in. Don't hesitate. And, of course, we've got a number of badge opportunities. The next one of which is Copilot Camp, and we've got Paolo Pialorsi, who's flown all the way from Italy. What are you doing here? I didn't expect you to show up.
The cameo. Okay.
Wow, awesome.
Yes, for those of you who will complete the pathway of the Copilot Dev Camp, you can find it at aka.ms/Copilot Dev Camp. We have a blue badge if you will complete any of the pathways, a black one, so a black belt badge if you will complete all of them, and the red one, the sample sensei, if you will also share with the community a sample of a Copilot extension. And just because of that, if you can move to the next one, thank you, David. We are really proud of the community members who claimed their badges this week, and specifically we are really proud of Rashmir Auklo, who got the sample sensei one, so share the great Copilot agent on the sample gallery. Thank you all, and don't hesitate to get your badge. The deadline for this initiative is the 20th of May. Thank you, David. I'll go back to Italy.
Okay. Yeah, safe travels, Paolo. All right. Thank you, everybody. Now, let's move into some project-specific updates. We're going to start with our Copilot prompt library. This is an awesome opportunity for those that are looking to contribute that have not yet. We've all become kind of prompt engineers and creating those prompts that we use each and every day. And we think, I don't know, it's just good for me, but it's good for everybody. So don't overthink it. If you can contribute and you want to join Sharing is Caring, we'll show you exactly how to do that. This is one of the easiest ways, and you get 2 badges when you do it. 2 for the price of 1. Who can't beat that? So we want to show our appreciation for the prompt of the week. Gaurav is showing how to define today's course of actions for me. I won't read this so you can take a look at it yourself, but it kind of gives you a summary of what you should be looking out for the day. So a really great way of being able to kind of see what's in store for you for the day, analyzing your work, and using AI to assist with that. So we absolutely want to enjoy that. So let's move into PNP.net libraries with Bert.
Hello. What happened in the PNP.net space? Not that much last 2 weeks. We did a release 2 weeks before. So new versions are out, 1.18 and 1.15. And the main thing that happened over the last 2 weeks is adding support for SharePoint alerts. So SharePoint alerts is an old call it legacy notification system. And we added support for that in the course of the K because we are building a module for you to understand the usage of SharePoint alerts, which will lead to something else coming pretty soon. But that's it for me. Let's move to Gautam for PowerShell.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Gautam, you're up. What do you have to say about some PowerShell?
Hey, thanks, David. Thanks, Bert. PNP PowerShell as well. Quite a lot of updates going on. So now in the latest nightly builds, we added support for URL fragments. So when you use hashtag in the URL so that you can navigate to, you can use deep links to navigate to a particular section in the page. The PNP navigation node commandlet now supports that. We also improved the PNP teams, new PNP teams command to better handle throttling. And we added a get PNP teams command, a user parameter, so that you can get a list of teams that the user has access to. Besides that, we improved convert PNP file and the set PNP list item and certain teams related commandlets as well. So quite a lot of updates. Do check out the nightly builds as well, and let us know if you run into any issues. Yeah, over to you, David. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Gautam. Yeah, that is amazing. 40 million downloads and 140 million commandlets executed per day. So that is fantastic. Something's going right there. Speaking of something going right, I think script samples is also amazing. Paul Bullock, tell us more.
Hey, David. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and welcome everybody from Las Vegas. Script Samples is a repository where you can share PowerShell scripts with the community, not just PowerShell scripts. I recently expanded the site to support Python scripts or Bash scripts. And we had Don Kirkman here, who submitted the first Bash script in the repository. So thank you, Don, for installing SPFX, multiple versions depending on which environment you want to use. So you can select that, which is super, super cool. So script samples, you can, if you work with PnP PowerShell, SPA Management Shell, CLI FM365, it's your choice. You can share those scripts with this community in this, and it's integrated with the sample solution gallery. And Anamorgic has a really cool extension, which then surfaces these samples to through his extensions as well. So I've just talked about the new sample from Don. We've also got 2 other new samples utilizing PnP PowerShell from Andrew Burns. We've got Deploy Clarity Application Customizer for site collections, and Rashmi Akalu has got a new sample around updating multi-line text field properties in SharePoint. So super, super cool. If you'd like to contribute, go to this repository. I've also expanded the repository as well to include a little cool trick with providing instructions for GitHub Copilot. So if you use that tool and you want to submit a sample, you can ask it questions and it will guide you through the best way to submit a sample to that repository. I'm quite excited for that. I only just implemented it, so hope you do too. But of course, submit an issue if you have any qualms, and then I'll address those. Remember to opt in for your badge. You get a badge for your contributions. And again, I'm super thankful for everyone who contributes to this repository. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. And again, this is one of the easier ones to contribute to because we all have utility scripts that we've written in a variety of ways. So definitely take advantage of that. Paul's a good guy. He says he'll bite your hand off, but that actually means something good in Europe, I think.
It might do. You never know.
Safe space. All right, now let's move on to Power Platform samples with Kate. What do you got?
Yeah, thank you, David. Hello, everybody. So in the Power Platform sample snippets and prompts, we have already a lot of awesome stuff, more than 200. Follow the link that you can see on the slide and explore different things for Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Fix, and more. And today we highlight the loading snipper crafted by Elian. Thank you so much for sharing this with the community. It's super useful. And as always, I remind that everyone is very welcome to contribute to the gallery. Just submit the pull request and we will do the rest. And if you have any questions, feel free to ping me and I will be more than happy to help you to prepare your code and submission, or you can join the sharing and caring session. And we are very eager to see what you've built. So let's grow together, and back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. And yeah, that sample is so awesome that when I first pulled it up in PowerPoint this morning, I thought my PowerPoint was loading. So it's very effective. I was like, come on, it's almost there. Come on, load. But that's actually the animation of the loader. So good job. Excellent. All right. Well, what time is it? It is picture time, right? So Vesa, for everybody in the room, Vesa's going to capture you guys doing the waving. For us online, I will get this.
And we'll combine this in a video. So.
Loaded. So let me get that. He's grabbing that now. I see tons of fantastic faces online. That is awesome. All right, let's do this, and we are capturing that. Let me bring this down here. And great to see everybody. All right, let's give this a 3, 2, 1, everyone. And let's start 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's start waving, everybody. Great to see you all in the community. Again, fantastic to see this. I love it when we're able to do this in person and you all are joining us at 7 a.m. Pacific, which is amazing. So thank you all, and thank you all online. Really, really great stuff. Really appreciate it. Love to see all those faces, and Bill and Todd and all the wonderful contributors. All right, well, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. We are going to begin with Tobias, who's going to talk about building Power Apps in a minimalistic design. So Tobias, feel free to take on over the screen share. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thanks. Hi, everyone, either in Vegas or somewhere else in the world. Thanks for having me today. I would like to start with a disclaimer. Today, I want to show a little piece of my puristic side, and it's not meant as the last word of wisdom when I'm talking about a report from the field. It's only one of many possible perspectives that I'm showing today. There's no single way to build modern and robust Canvas apps using a minimalistic design. Today, I'd like to inspire you by showing my point of view, as well as providing some easy-to-go ideas that go along with this topic. And hey, it's not a showcase of the most beautiful Power Apps that I've ever built. I'm not pretending to be the design pope. So let's start talking about how I do realize modern and robust apps, Canvas apps that follow a minimalistic design. And I am Tobias Maestrini, and I am a busy father of 3 kids, 2 twin girls and a boy based in Switzerland. And I'm currently working as a Power Platform consultant and developer at isolutions, a Swiss company that develops software with low-code and pro-code approaches. We create and maintain digital workplace solutions for companies in Switzerland. And we have a strong focus on Microsoft 365. And if you'd like to get in touch, feel free to contact me. Here are my social handles. There are 3 stages in my presentation, from the introduction, or why I think that design frameworks are crucial, to a demo where I show you what a minimalistic Canvas app might look like, and finally to the approach on how I build and I implement my minimalistic design approach. I want to start emphasizing 3 points why design frameworks are crucial to me. In modern apps, for example, usability and design go hand in hand, and it's crucial that Power Platform Canvas app are not only functional, but also look good. These days, or the days are gone when apps that people made themselves had just a bunch of different fields and buttons of various sizes, colors, and shapes that only made sense and looked pretty well to the person who made them. And for all the rest of us, they looked more like a messy collection of interactive elements which were put on a white, gray, blue, green, or otherwise colored canvas. Secondly, design frameworks like Fluent UI by Microsoft try to make design and interaction behavior and the code that goes with it more consistent. The goal is to create apps and solutions that look and work in a simple and organized way, and to standardize the look and feel of an app. That's the main purpose. And the platform you choose for your app and the framework you use to create doesn't matter. Either Power App Studio, this could be either Power App Studio for Canvas app, building Canvas apps, or SPFX for SharePoint apps, or anything else along your choice. And third point is a minimalistic design ensures that the use of the design elements is reduced to a minimum so that a clear and effective UI message can be conveyed. A clear minimalistic design not only improves the user's experience, but also ensures intuitive navigation, which guides the user in using the app. I would like to briefly show what my interpretation of a minimalistic design for Power Platform Canvas app look like. Let's make a great looking app with a clean structure that is easy to navigate. Do you hear this kind of requirement that often as I do? To me, it happens quite a lot of time when I talk to the customers or to friends. And I always tell them, great, but how should we achieve this? And we should create user interfaces that are easy to use by using color palettes, using modern fonts and icons, modern typography, and the navigation that is easy and clear to understand. I now want to present you an app that I've recently built by following my minimalistic design approach that I'm used to use in every single project when it comes to building a Power App. My goal of this presentation would be to inspire you to adopt it, or even better, to build your own minimalistic design rules. And let's now switch the browser to the app that I want to show you. Just a few words about the use case that you're seeing here. I'm working for a bigger Swiss music festival as well, and this music festival has several departments which work together. I'm the head of the security department, and we have to handle a joint parking management which organizes several parking zones with different parking spots. And to make the parking management being handled independently by every department, but keeping everything under control from a festival perspective level, I've built a Canvas app on a Power Platform. And the aim was to get an insight about all the parking slots and the reservations, making sure that we don't overbook the parking zones. And by the way, the app I'm showing you here is using a nice custom PCF component that was built by, I don't remember his name, but it's in the last slide, the reference is in the last slide, to build or to show this, to visualize this beautiful timeline. And my belief and paradigm is always to build apps and a Power Platform as you would do as a professional developer writing code. Therefore, I always take into consideration the following 6 points when it comes to building or modifying an app. First of all, rely on design standards and UI components. To reach a goal of building consistent UI with well-coordinated and matching components, sorry for having everything in German. I recently noticed that I'm in a German environment or German setup, but I tell you this. First of all, you always have to use and activate the modern controls instead of the old controls that you had to adjust in color, in font, in shape, in size, and so on by every use. Secondly, make use of design tokens that come along with your color palette. For example, here, when you see the color which I used or which I choose to fill up the form that I'm highlighting. These design tokens are named variables for colors that are predefined in a color palette or even in your own color palette instead of defining the components color every time you use them. Second, think building a single page application, and for that use multiple screens that visualize the different use cases or stories that you're going to telling in your app. Every use case asks for its according components and controls. And if you separate the use cases, as I do here, by switching through or by bubbling through the different screens, you separate them, and you also separate the necessary UI components into smaller bits. By doing so, you avoid overloading the canvas and overwhelming users with an excessive number of different UI components or controls. It's always good to use a new screen that covers a dedicated use case and that is related to components. Third of all, make use of containers. Containers are fun. Okay. Sometimes there are little beasts as well, but nevertheless, make use of them to make content fit the screen and keep always the same approach to display UI content. As you can see here, I made use of at least 5 different containers, and I try using the same container concept within the whole app or within overall the apps that I built. I'm trying to make the first container, which is the root container, which is aligned, which's name is aligned to the name of the screen. Within the root container, there is a header container and a main container and an optional footer. And in the main container, you will always find 2 additional containers containing the main content or the content itself and the details. For example, or for instance, when it comes to form data or to edit some record data and stuff like this. This is the detail container. Fourth point would be consistent in navigation. And the navigation bar you can see here on top of the canvas. The navigation should provide a clear and an easy to follow rule on how to find the specific app content or use cases and the according UI action. I always use a home screen To make the primary user stories visible from beginning to an end, this screen is where the user gets into the app, or how the user gets into the app. And in the according subscreens, for instance, this overview here, or this list and details view, or master details view here, always a navigation ribbon tells you or guides you back to the home navigation, or to the home screen. Always make primary actions, or I try to always make primary action available beneath the home button, just here on top, separated by a vertical dividing line. And talking about dividers or separators, use separators to separate different menu actions and to aggregate them into respective action groups. In case of lots of menu actions, you also could create a nested menu, which is really easy to handle. For instance, with the modern controls toolbar element. This is really, really great stuff. Fifth point, separate data actions from data visualization. Always use tables, or in this case here, a timeline, to display the data and only the data. For instance, in this case, or in this use case, you have the table here, which visualizes the data. In this case, here there's the timeline control, which visualizes the data. And on the right-hand side, the data action with the data actions to store or to delete or to do anything to mutate the data you're about to change or to modify, which stays related to the main content. Always position the save or the reset button underneath the form where you mutate the data. That makes it easy for the user to understand where he has to click and how he has to follow the UI or the UX stream. The disabled attribute of a component is a nice feature when a menu item should not be selectable. I try to reduce the hidden state, or the use of the hidden state to the minimum. My opinion is you better display an item and change its state. For example, make it disabled instead of conditionally hide it or show it. And make a template or reference app that contains all your standards for design. That would be my suggestion. The navigation, the UI components, the screens, all by grouping these components on different type of screen layouts, because by doing so you simply can copy paste the screen layouts from your reference app and paste and apply it on your canvas in your new app, either by pasting the whole screen or by only applying its YAML definition. And last but not least, encapsulate UI logic or app logic and app behavior by using formulas, because formulas provide a way to avoid the application of logic and to boost performance, as they are evaluated at runtime. And I try to always transform data in a fetch data formula instead of implementing the same data transformations, for example, this guy here, on multiple elements or in multiple screens. And now, to conclude, coming to an end, these are, again, my 6 simple points when it comes to building or modifying an app. And by relying on proven architectural principle and using modern components, we develop apps that are not only convincing from an aesthetical perspective, but also technically robust and scalable. In my understanding, good UI design goes hand in hand with a good app architecture. That's why I wanted to show you how you could start building your own minimalistic design rules. So I say thanks for your attention and time. And with that, back to David.
Awesome, Tobias. I mean, perfect timing, perfect. Live applause. Excellent. Very, very cool. Thank you so much. Paul, feel free to take on over if you'd like while we're getting you set up there. Tobias, really love it. I think Hugo Bernier is in the crowd, and he would absolutely say less is more. He's a minimalistic fan as well. So he would agree with all that stuff, Sue. So great job. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
set up next is Paul Bullock. Get a communication buddy using Microsoft 365 Copilot Declarative Agent with API plugins. So I know we're going to have a good time just based on the imagery there, Paul, already. Feel free to take it on over.
Yeah, thank you, David. So yes, it's not a script sample this time, so I'm switching my hats over to M365 Copilot. So the use case I've got for this is a tool built with Copilot to help you with your communications buddy. That uses, like I said, M365 Copilot. We're using Declarative Agent, so it's customized, and then we're using API plugins. So the primary learning path of this tool is around setting up this Declarative Agent and interacting with API plugins and having a look at how that works as well. And I've also tried to incorporate some security practices in using Enter ID and single sign-on along that pathway. So in case you don't know who I am, sorry, I'm just navigating. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Paul Bullock. I'm an MVP in the development and Copilot space. I also talk a lot. I also run script samples and blog as well. And I do occasional bad jokes and puns and things like that. And I work for Avanade as well. So that's me in a nutshell. So just roughly talk through the architecture of the sample that I'm going to talk you through. And this sample is actually in the ProDev samples gallery as well, which I'll provide a link to later. So if you want to have a look at the code behind this, it's all there. But in a nutshell, we've got a Copilot agent that serves as the user interface for users to ask questions against Copilot and against the agent itself. We've got a component, which is the Azure Web API. So I've written this in .NET and with PnP Core SDK as well. That will then pass through queries from the agent to the Web API to retrieve some data. I've chosen SharePoint, being predominantly a SharePoint guy, really. A SharePoint list. It could be anything. You could use an Azure table or some other storage medium, a database perhaps. But I've used SharePoint list because visually it's easy for me to engineer, and also I get to play with PnP Core SDK a little bit. So it's a little bit of a learning ground for me, just as much as it is to show off a sample as well. I've also set it up as well in a way where you are configured for single sign-on, so that when you are interacting with the agent, you're not prompted to log in or anything like that. So it does take your user's delegated credentials. So that is the permissions of what you've got access to as a user along that pathway through the Web API to retrieve that data from SharePoint and then return that result back to Copilot as well. So I'll talk you a little bit through how that is configured. So I'm going to switch straight to code. I don't know if the awful thing will blow up, but we will see and show you how this is built. So hopefully you can all see my screen. Let me know if I need to zoom in any further than that. But so this is my agent. So I'm in the Copilot experience. I've got my communications buddy here. I've put on some conversation starters. So the communication buddy contains instructions, which I'll talk you through a little bit later, about your corporate style guides and things like that. So you can respond in a specific manner, and the agent can understand what you're trying to achieve with it as well. This will then talk to an API. So if I want to create a message in a message queue, so let me just show you a few example prompts, and then I'll go through the flow, how it goes in. So I've got a new colleague called Warren Tai, who's joined the organization. I want to draft a sample message. What it's actually gone straight ahead and done, I do get this occasionally, is it's gone ahead and generated that message for me, and then I want to communicate to the API to do that. I didn't quite want that, and you see this in Copilot a few times, so it is deterministic. So the result you had yesterday when I tested this doesn't always reflect the result I had today. But nevertheless, you can get it to generate a draft sample of all the communications you want, and then the next step would have been to again create this message to then post to this API. I'll go ahead and click that anyway, since it's jumped ahead for me. So what that will do is it will use my credentials. It will then post that message to the API and then save that content into a SharePoint site. So let me just show you what that looks like as an end result. So I've got this new message. I'm just going to refresh my screen. So if you've got that, so we just had just now through that API plugin, it has this message and it's pasted this piece of text here that it's generated for me. So I'm welcoming that person. I've only got a basic approval workflow. I could have probably done something better with that, but that's cool. And it's posted a few seconds ago from me, so it's used my credentials. I did have the option of choosing, although it jumped ahead, which medium I want to send this through. So you could extend this. So because I'm putting it into a SharePoint site, you could attach a flow, or other mechanism to take that information and then push it out to, say, Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, whatever your credential is. So essentially you can tailor this going forward and so forth. So just jumping back to Copilot. So I just want to show just a basic retrieval mechanism here. So I want to get the welcome message just to show that it is, performing that get operation. As you can see, it's showing all the welcome messages that's come through. So it's reading that list. I've got the item URL. I've got I did choose markdown content. Doesn't always present well in this manner. So that's just potentially a demo design choice that I need to articulate one day. But as you can see here, it has returned a series of results based on that content. So which is cool. The next part of this is, if I wanted to, I can find that message and then submit. Let me just have a quick look. I suspect it'd be a high number anyway. Okay, so it's not done that, but okay, let me just check something a minute. Yeah, 37. So okay. So what I want to do is submit message 37 for approval. And then it will go away, hopefully, and then communicate against that API. And then, as you can see, it's giving you that confirmation dialogue. When you do post to, one thing you'll notice about when you post to actions, it will give that human in the loop. So it will give you that kind of viewpoint, and you can see what data is being sent. I'm only passing an ID to that endpoint anyway, and then you can confirm it. So you always get that kind of human in the loop when you're doing these sort of actions, these API plugins. So that will hopefully go away, and then set that value to submitted. So that will submit through an approval. I'm not going to show too much. As you can see, it's got the results there, and that would have updated that. So I'm just going to quickly jump over to here. Let's refresh that. So it's showing that, and it's showing submitted. So like I said, I haven't got an approval workflow because it's not the full point of this demo. But as you can see, it's sort of writing information back to SharePoint, and then you can attach a process there onwards. So what I want to do is I want to show you how that works in its entirety. I want to show you that I've got a .NET Web API. So I'm just going to quickly run so this is Postman. If you've not seen this before, Postman's really good at interrogating APIs very quickly. You don't have to code anything. You can just put in a URL, feed in authorization tokens. There's a nice user interface for getting those tokens as well. And then you can get the results back from your API. And as you can see here, I've got a series of results from that API. Here's the one that I posted earlier, the one that would have fed back into Copilot to show that is retrieving it from SharePoint and going through my separate API. So we've got that part. The next set of components are the agent itself. So one thing you do need to do if you're working with API plugins is you need to generate a OpenAPI spec. So what that looks like it's basically an instruction manual for your API, how you interact with it, what operations, what to expect in terms of the results, in terms of the data. That's how I see it anyway. And you can also at the bottom here as well specify your security information as well. So this will be a setting in Entra, and then you've got your sort of endpoints that it speaks to as well, and also the permissions that you're acting through. And in this case, because I'm working with single sign-on, it's act on your behalf. The next component as part of this is the API plugin. So here we've got a set of functions. This is the bit that defines what operations you want the agent to do. So I've got the sort of get all messages, get message by ID, and then you've got that submit message for approval. And then again, you've got that, with that information, those functions, the security information that will go with it. I'm referencing my Open API. I have a link to the, or a reference to the plugin vault, which I'll show you in a minute in the Teams developer portal, where you set up that sort of configuration for this. And then we've got some instructions. It's quite a convoluted set of instructions. It's quite long, but essentially it just sort of says, you can set your style, tone, guide. I did something similar with a previous sample with sort of my blog post analyzer. So you can specify what you want. You want to be inclusive. You want some examples. I've also included as well a set of instructions on how to interact with those endpoints in a specific way if I wanted to do that. So having all these components together in the agent itself is part of that. The next component and the final component is the sort of web API. So, I mean, you could interact with APIs that are not built by yourself, or you could build your own. You could use this. This is part of the sample that I submitted to the ProDev samples, where you can source and bring the information through the API. So in this, this is written in .NET, C#. So I specify that I want authentication. I've also got a section, a block here that interacts and passes the authentication tokens to PnP Core SDK, so I don't have to have a second step where it has to go and get require that consent again to go and get that information. You can pass through the original one as well. I do have a section down here regarding outputting the Open API specification. But in recent days, I've actually been playing around with dev proxy. So if you do have an API and you don't have the ability to, for the tool to output that specification for you, you can use dev proxy to essentially listen into the API, make some calls, and then it'll help you write out that specification for you, which is a super, super cool. Well, I didn't use in this sample, but I certainly recommend looking at that if you're trying to get that engineering there. So a couple of other things as well. So in interacting with PnP Core SDK, as I said, I've had to use a custom provider here. So essentially what that means is it will get that token, it will then pass it through to PnP Core SDK. So it's basically using my credential, not my credentials, but certainly my token as a user, because I'm delegated to interact and get that information from SharePoint through PnP Core SDK. You specify scopes, and then you get that access token when you're interacting with that, and then it'll can connect to the site and then retrieve that information. So I don't need to log into it again. So makes that slightly smoother as well. And then we've got this other bit here, which is obviously that connection to SharePoint with PnP Core SDK. As you can see, I'm getting that context with that information. I've got the site as well in the settings. And then we've got the message that send and retrieve. I've got a few of these here where you can sort of create the message. You can create the message, you can update it, you can trigger off approvals and so forth. I hope that's a sort of whirlwind example of how you could interact with APIs through Declarative agents. So in that example was a communications buddy. You can have this sort of flow where you are creating a communications and then you're submitting it for approval to a boss, and then that will come back and that'll be useful. So you can integrate that into your sort of workflow if that helps. So one last thing I want to quickly show you. So I'm just on my final wrap-up presentation because I'm at time. Just going to quickly switch here. So as I said, like I said, this is a whirlwind too. So whirlwind tour through the code and exactly how it works. So I've got a blog post around how this is all breaking the components down in a bit more detail. So you've got that as a takeaway. This sample and the source code for it is on the Copilot Pro Dev samples. If you haven't seen it, I'd check it out. It's a PNP repository, and also in if you want to look for other samples, well, in the Super sample gallery. And if you want to learn more about how to customize Copilot, again, go to the Copilot Dev Developer Camp. A few of us have, and it is awesome. It's continually being updated and refreshed, and new content's being added all the time. So I'm really excited about all the new stuff that's coming through. So absolutely check that out. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening. I know it was a bit of a whirlwind, but hopefully you found that useful, and you can take that forward perhaps in your projects. Thank you. Back to you, David.
Awesome, Paul. Very, very cool stuff. You might even say, woo, yeah, woo. You might even say it was bananas. Bananas, get it? Bananas in his spine. Okay, thank you, Paul. Awesome job.
Very, very appealing, David. Very appealing.
Any questions, reach out to Paul. He likes it. He's a dad joke guy. Reach out to Paul. He's a great guy. Loves to collaborate. All right, well, without further ado, we do have... Oh, didn't go through. We do have the
well, that's good enough.
Yeah, that'll work. We have Chris.
I prefer it.
The Sultan of Stallions is here. He is going to talk about list formatting tips and tricks. Chris, take it away.
I prefer the title Pope of Design.
Right.
I will claim that I am the Pope of Design. All right, I'm Chris. All right, let's take a look at some stuff. All right, let's get out of this PowerPoint thing. Oh, well, here, we'll go ahead and show this slide since I clicked it. I'm going to briefly show this tool. We've talked about it a number of times on here. This is the link. We're just going to show it briefly, but there you go. It's JSONify. And what we're going to be using is the SVG to column format stuff. That's how they did it. Okay. Let's get out of there and let's go on over to our Warrior Horses site. Right. So everyone's got their classic Warrior Horses site. And of course, everyone needs to plan their attacks. And when you plan your attack, you want to track the status and who you want to attack, right? So we've created an attacks list over here. And just for space, here's a quick tip. If you haven't seen this before, if you add this env, so environment equals web view to the end of your list, you get this much nicer, well, not nicer necessarily, but larger view, right? So I've got rid of all that extra Chrome so that I can demo just a little bit better. All right. So now what we're going to do is we've got a list. It's just got our targets over here, and it's got the status of those targets. The status is pretty straightforward. It's just one of those choice columns. Very quickly, though, just to make it easier, I'm going to format this column and add one of my favorite tricks on the bottom to make this work a little better. Come on, conference Wi-Fi. Here we go. We are live in person in Vegas. There we go. All right. So we'll go to the very bottom. Again, we can do this any format. Just go to the very bottom. We're going to hit comment. I'm going to type in inline edit field. All right. And I'm going to say at current field. And when I do that little magic, all right, now I get this box. So let's save that. And now it's still my regular old choice column, but I can change things directly here, which makes it a little easier for the rest of the demo. Okay, so what I want to be able to do is visualize this, right? So this is pretty straightforward. We attack, we destroy, we win, right? And maybe we have a little planning period. But they may have a much more complicated process. Maybe you've got lots of different gates you've got to go through, all sorts of stuff, or you want to describe it in some fancy way. And your CEO just came to you. He's just discovered smart art in 2025. Congratulations, right? So let's take a look how we can bring smart art into a format. Wowie! So we'll go back to our PowerPoint, and we're just going to add a new slide because we're going to do it right here. Okay. And we'll just say, go to our insert menu, and we're going to go smart art, which is right there. And you can pick any of these. I'm going to pick, let's see, let's do this one with the arrows. It's got nice 3 things for me, and we'll say, what do we say? Attack, destroy, and then win, right? And of course, you can add more, do whatever you need, choose one of these other ones. I'm going to change the colors. I don't need to because we're going to override them with theme colors, but it's fun too. You can resize whatever, you know, all that stuff. Click on this little border, and you're going to right click, and you're going to say save as picture. And this part's important here. You want to save as SVG, right? So if you make sure it's an SVG, so a scalable vector graphic. That's going to kind of preserve all of those shapes so that the format can draw it again. Let's just save that guy. And then I'm going to head over to Visual Studio Code, so VS Code, right here, because I've already got it up in the folder where I've got my new SVG. Wow, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, so we've got that. Now, if I want to see what that actually is, so SVGs are really just XML files underneath, so that means they're text-based. So I can reopen the editor with the text editor. And there, look, I wasn't lying. There it is. Oh, beautiful. Of course, we all understand that perfectly, right? That's that pretty arrow with the boxes. And if I want to make that a format, I've got to do just a little bit of cleanup on this, right? So I'm going to right-click on this guy, and I'm going to reveal in Finder if you're on Mac, or reveal in File Explorer if you're in Windows. And there it is. And I've got an open source tool called Inkscape. It's free. I've got it installed, and I'm going to open this SVG up in it. There we go. And I've got the layers window open just so we can see. One of the problems here is things are grouped and things are text elements. So when it comes to list formatting, we can draw SVGs. We put an SVG element, and then we can have individual path elements, and that's it, right? So rectangles, circles, text, all of those kind of named special elements do not work, and they're not going to come over. So we need to get rid of them. It also doesn't work very well with strokes. So luckily, Inkscape makes that really, really easy. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit, and we're just going to make sure we've got everything picked. So I'm going to say Select All in all layers. I've got these instructions for you on a slide. You'll be able to pause them later. All right, and we come up here, and we're going to go to Object, and we're going to ungroup. We got rid of one group, and let's do it again, ungroup. Now we've gotten rid of all of our groups over here. I'm going to go to Path. I'm going to say Object to Path. That gets rid of my text-specific objects. It makes all of that text into an actual object. But then I also want to make sure I get rid of my strokes. And so I can say strokes to paths, right? So what that does, that's those outlines. If I've got any of those, it also makes them paths. But now it introduced new groups. That's all right. I'm just going to go back up to Object and ungroup one more time until everything's flat. That's all I needed. It's all flat. Now I'm going to save. If I save it by default in Inkscape, Inkscape gets really verbose in its XML. It's like, I bet you wanted a bunch of extra text in here, and you didn't. Right, so what you're going to do is save as. And this is where you're going to pick optimized SVG, SVG, I think is how you pronounce that. All right, so pick optimized SVG here, and you're going to get this little wizard, and you're pretty much going to check all these boxes. But again, I've got that in the instructions here. What we're going to do is we're going to shorten the values. We're going to convert CSS attributes to XML attributes, which is a little weird because XML attributes aren't supported in formatting, but we're going to have JSONify take care of that for us. And by doing this, it strips out extra style elements. So it's a little weird, and it makes sure that any IDs that get generated in these SVG files get eliminated, because we don't need them. And we're just going to check all these. Basically, just make it smaller. We don't need all this other junk. We don't need IDs. Boom. We say replace it. That's fine. It's a live demo. What could go wrong? All right, there we go. We'll go back in here. Oh, look at that. So now here's that same SVG. It's a little cleaner, right? It's all paths. That's close to what we want. I'm not even reading this. Again, I don't care. I'm just following the instructions. But now because I have JSONify installed here, I'm going to right-click and say Convert to SP list format. And there's my format. So I'm just going to copy that, and we'll just trust it did it. Yeah, it sounds good, right? All right, and we'll go back over to our site here. And we're just going to put it on the title field for now. I'll tell you what, let's actually add a column. It'll be more fun that way. We'll set a random text column, or you can add a calculated column with a value of just double quotes if you want to make it not editable. This case is a text because it's easier. All right, and we'll just say progress. That sounds great, right? And we'll say save. We don't really care what's in it because we're not going to use the value. We're going to column settings, and we're going to format this column. We're going to go to advanced mode, and I'm just going to Command A or Control A to get all of that highlighted, and I'm going to paste in what I got out of JSONify, and we're going to preview that. Ooh, smart art right there in our list. Can you believe it? So very exciting, but let's make that a little bit better here because I've still got, what, 5 minutes? Perfect. We'll go until I don't.
We can go a bit long if needed, so it's fine.
All right, we're here all day, folks. You didn't have any other sessions you want to attend.
A bit long.
All right, so if we look through this, right, you'll notice that still has those colors we picked out in PowerPoint, which may or may not match our site. It's actually not too bad on the Warrior Horses site. Good jobby. I am the Pope of design.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
That makes sense. But how do I know which path is which? Well, the easiest way is to start getting silly with it and just go down to where the fill are and just type in like red. preview which one. Oh, it's the back arrow, right? So that's the arrow that I wanted to change the color on. I'm just going to leave it as is for now because I don't want to mess with it. But I could change that. Here's another one. Let's see what element this is, right? We're just trying to find those boxes. Yep, that's the attack box, right? So now we know that's the attack box. We don't need a color thing. In fact, it'll get in our way because the way we want to style these is we want to use the theme colors. And so in order to use the theme colors, we want to use these predefined classes Microsoft provides for us. And when it comes to SVGs, we get this fill property, which controls the background. But weirdly, if we set this to current color, right, that will inherit the font color of the item, all right, which is a little weird. So now it's got that neutral primary color. So now I can set the font color dynamically. So what I'll do is I'll come up here right above this D attribute. Those are all those fancy coordinates that PowerPoint generated for me, all right? And I'll say class, and I can say equals, and I'll say if, you know, that status, right, column, we're going to look at that status column equals what attack in this case. All right, here we go. So we've got what we're going to do is, where were we? We see here. So we're trying to type in this attack field, right? So we're setting our class, we're setting it dynamically. So we've got an equals to start the expression. We're saying if, and we're saying the status equals attack. We're saying MS font color. And in this case, get rid of that. We're going to say theme secondary. So when it is that, I want to do my secondary color just because I know that's red on this one, right? And if it's not that, well, then I want you to do my MS font color. Again, we're setting the font color, which is a little weird because we're doing that current color to neutral primary. And that sounds great, right? And let's see, we'll make sure we add a comma at the end of our property. Let's preview that. Aha! Look at that. So the ones that are set to attack now have a red attack, right? And so what we do is we're just going to copy this class right here. And to make this easier for myself next time, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say comment, and I'm just going to put this as the attack. Because the nice thing about formatting is you can add any property you want, and if it's not part of the definition, it'll just ignore it. So I just decided I'm going to add comment there, because when I go to do this later, I'm not going to be able to find that very well, right? So now we come down here, and we'll just find our next one, and we'll do one more of these just for fun. All right, let's see. Probably not that one, because that was white. Let's see, so that's probably the text. You see, this is highly technical. Here we go. Scroll down. Ooh, what do we got up there? There's probably this one. Let's see. So let's try our same old trick of just setting it to red to see if that's the one. It is. We found it. Get rid of the color. Set this guy to current color. Same thing. Whoop, whoop. And then we come up here right before that, and we're going to paste that class thing that we just did up there and change the word attack to destroy. There we go. Let's preview that. Boom. All right, we're just going to keep it at that for time. I'm going to save that for now. And then the idea here is if I come in here, and I'm changing that to win, well, the win we didn't do, attack. Right, attack is set up, or I can set it to destroy. Now destroy is highlighted, and so on. The idea here is, right, we can make this a lot fancier, but we want to take smart art from PowerPoint. Let PowerPoint do all the hard design work, because not everyone is the Pope of design. All right, so let PowerPoint or Word or whoever do all that. Here's another trick. It doesn't have to be smart art. Right, so PowerPoint, you can grab all your other shapes and other things. So if you built a slide, you know, with a big dashboard type thing, you can export that to an SVG. Now, do keep in mind, like raster images. So when I say that, like if you got like a bitmap or a PNG, those aren't going to come over, okay? So you're going to have to play with it just a little bit, but that's the basic idea. So let me make sure I show the slide so you can pause on the video later that has those instructions. There we go. Wowee! All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4. You have paused it on there and you've seen it. Great. Here's those resources, though, as for the links for the documentation on list formatting up there. And then also, if you want to check out the Personify, that is where both adds all that syntax highlighting for your expressions in VS Code, but it also adds that SVG to format option. And then if you want those little horses down there, that's VS Code Pets. That is unrelated, but I like to talk about it. That's it for me. Woo!
Awesome, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, in SVGs, I mean, I know that you are a wrong screen. You are a big fan, and I am too. And there's lots of really cool VS Code extensions for managing SVGs and editing them. So don't be scared by all that ugly XML. If you're not the Pope of XML, you can handle SVGs as well. So super, super cool, and we'll include some links to that too. So thank you for all of our attendees. Tobias, or our presenters, Tobias, Paul, and Chris, the newly crowned Pope of Design, for all of your presentations today. Woo, 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 woo. Good direction, good direction. All right, we have our official Discord server for anybody who is in Discord. It's a great opportunity, kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, to collaborate with other members of the community, because it is one server, but it's got multiple channels to all the different initiatives and projects and programs that we have in the community. We have over 2,800 members, so it's a great way to get to know some of the other members in the community. We also have our feedback form. Would love to know if things are working for you. If they're not, please let us know. Even if they are working for you, let us know. It's great for management to know these are working, you appreciate them, and it ensures that we can continue to do things like this at events like this. So we're very, very appreciative. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less, probably closer to 24 hours as we go back to our hotel rooms and get it all done tonight. So be on the lookout. Go smash that subscribe button at our YouTube channel. Boom. aka.ms/community/YouTube will always give you access. Don't believe Teams if it tells you it's ready to download, because it's a pretty little liar. So it's going to tell you it's ready, but it's not. You won't have access, but you will if you go subscribe. Of course, follow the community on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Blue Sky if you're there. The next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community bi-weekly call will be in 2 weeks, May 22nd. And then the next Viva Connections will be next week, May 15th. So thank you, everybody, for attending that's in the room. Everybody online, we love and appreciate all that you're doing. Keep doing it. Have a wonderful rest of the conference, wonderful rest of the week online, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.